Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Psychic Kitchen. I am Tom Sawyer, and this is Jimmy Davies.
Hey,
We're here to serve.
Thank you, brother. Good to be back.
We are back.
We are live.
We're live. How you doing today, Mr. Jimmy?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much. It's warmed up over here in the UK, so that's quite nice.
Up here too. It went from like 30 degrees to like 50.
All right.
In the span of one day.
It's funny that, isn't it?
Yes.
I wonder why.
I think it's global warming.
I do, yeah.
I think
well done.
Cows out there and they just started farting everywhere.
You're a good citizen believing that.
Yeah, they're just farting. They're making the whole atmosphere go crazy. All these cows farting everywhere.
Hey, Kathy. Hey, everyone. We don't necessarily have any topics for today, so if anyone's got any questions or anyone's got anything that they would like to discuss, then obviously feel free to let us know in the comments.
Let's talk about aliens today, Jimmy.
Okay.
How many aliens do you think are on this planet?
I don't know. If I had to guess, I'd probably say 500.
500. Different aliens or individual aliens? Or just all aliens?
In total.
In total. Okay. Yeah, I find it interesting. You know, Canada recently came out, they were working with extraterrestrials, I believe.
I saw that.
Video. Someone sent it to me. I think they've been here I think we got a lot of Anunnaki underneath the ground. Hiding out. I think some of them got left behind in here. Those red-haired giants and the Native American people, they have stories of red-haired giants coming out of the earth and eating people. They have all these histories of this, like in the Americas.
So are the red-haired giants the Nephilim?
Well, I think they're the Anunnaki. I just think they like got stuff. There was actually a story of he got in a lot of trouble. His name's Mr. Ballin. He's on YouTube. He started on TikTok and he went to YouTube. But he's ex special forces. And there was a story when he put it on there, he got a lot of flack from the military community. But because they essentially buried the story. He wasn't there, but he'd heard about it. So they were in Iraq and they fought a big creature. And a bunch of people died. And some people theorize that the whole reason the U.S. went to Iraq was to get some of their stuff.
I've seen that.
You
I've heard the story. I've heard the story about I've heard. I also saw an interview with a. I'm not sure if she was sort of in. I'd say she was probably in her 70s, something like that. Who lives in somewhere in, I think it was the south, one of the southern states in America, and she was talking about how everyone in her village knew about the red-haired giants that live in the hills or something like that. And it's just something that they've always lived with and they've always been there, but they don't disturb them and they leave them to themselves and sort of just exist with them, but not with them, so to speak, just in the same area, in the same space. But
well, a friend of mine brought this up. It's very interesting. So like there was this big thing in sorry, there's someone out there making noise. In Peru, I believe it's Peru, I can't remember the country, but there were these supposedly extraterrestrials. This went viral on like TikTok and stuff, of these extraterrestrials that were like taking people's skin. I know that sounds crazy, but like my friend looked at it, and someone went down there, like interviewed them. And what the guy believed happened was these are really people that seem to have ET technology that are using it because they're like floating around on these weird objects, but they're like attacking the people. But it looks like they're humans trying to pretend to be aliens to like get people. You follow my drift?
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. In disguise. Yeah. Hey, Donna. Hey, Darlene. Hey, Beverly. Hey, Shelley says, or maybe we are the aliens and they have always been here.
I think they have always been here. A lot of people like Billy Carson believe that all of genetics are tied to different ET species. I remember that in a past lifetime, being in Egypt. I don't know what I was. I know it was an ET, but we were all sitting around like a human, and we were all like discussing what we could and couldn't do. It was like, what can we do with this person? What can I do? What can I do? What can I get away with? What can like genetically? How can we make this? I wish I could. My guys are like, you wish you could remember more about it, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, being like a pyramid or something.
Do you think that the depictions of Egyptian deities with heads of an eagle or a lion or whatever they were, like Thoth and Horus and Osiris and that with different heads and one with a snake head, do you think they actually had those heads, or do you think that's just a sort of a representation of maybe the energy they presented or the animal that they connected with, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, some of them were like gods and goddesses. I know with Thoth, what's interesting about him is supposedly he trained Jesus. I don't know. This is by Billy Carson, but supposedly he trained Jesus. Now, I know in the books of the Christ Child, like 1, 2, and 3, and even the Druids have records of this, that it looks like he went to like where the Druids were, which were a different island, and then it was like the island out in the middle of nowhere. And then India, Tibet, they all had these different records of like Jesus showing up there. And one of them he theorized was Thoth was in totally different parts of the world. He thinks he lived like 10,000 years. And he was training Jesus, like he went to India to train Jesus and like the art of healing and other things. But it was like he went from like school to school to school to school to school to school. Because he like knew what he was on some level, whatever he was.
Interesting. I haven't seen much about Billy Carson, I must admit. I've heard of the name, I think, but I don't really know much about it.
I don't know a lot. I mean, I take things with a grain of salt, but the whole books of the Christ Child resonate with me. So
you read that, all of them?
Not in totality, but you can look up those on YouTube. I think I looked at some passages and stuff like that.
Okay.
Where Jesus like just destroyed a kid. I mean, you would think if he had that much power. I always argue that the 40 days in the desert had nothing to do with the devil. It had more to do with him confronting himself. Like coming back and being like, do I have to do this? So let me go in the desert and see if this is worth it.
I also heard someone theorize about how this 40 days in the desert, or it might have been the Noah and the 40 days and 40 nights rain. I can't remember, but it was something to 40 seems to be quite a common figure for some reason, but something about how that the 40 days is a depiction or a representation of something that happens during the year. Maybe it's the way that a star transverses past us, or whether there's some event that happens for 40 days. There's something along those lines, and it's the same with other events that are explained in the Bible that happen, that are sort of, I don't know, representations of things that happen just throughout the year in the calendar. in the calendar year. So, I mean, who knows, really, to be
Well,
honest.
even with the flood, there's literally, I think, 20 to 100 different stories of the flood and different cultures. China, like Native Americans, everywhere. It's all over the whole world. They all have different stories.
No, fascinating. There's just so much, isn't there? There's so many theories. Everyone's got their own theory about it.
Yep.
Except me, I don't really have one.
I don't know. I just think the world flooded. I think that there's been catastrophic events where it's happened. Civilizations destroyed and then rebuilt. So, yeah, even if you look at some of the things they're inventing now, back with looking at hieroglyphs that are pretty old, like 10,000, 20,000 years old, there's actually, it looks like there's some machines that are the exact same, like helicopters and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, cool.
Flying cars. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have the Tataria thing, but you also have in India, there were a bunch of people walking around the early 1900s with different kinds. It almost looked like robotic like stuff. And there was none of that in the 1920s. They're wearing it. And so they don't know where it came from, but obviously another civilization.
Also, I don't know if you've seen the video, but I remember seeing a video, and I mean, it may be fake, but I've seen a video of, you know how bees levitate by they fly by levitation rather than flapping their wings like other sort of insects, birds, etc. Apparently bees use the resonance frequency to levitate, which is why they can fly pretty much straight in gale force winds, because they create a bubble around them or something like that, create some kind of force field through their levitation, or the way that their wings create this vibration or something like that. And I saw a video of this guy who supposedly was be able to recreate basically the technique, the structure of how the engineering of how a bee does that, and he made a levitation device, and he was able to fly around and everything like that. But it was an old film. It wasn't as if it was last year. It was an old film. It was black and white, and it was grainy. So, I mean, if they had that technology, say 100 years ago or 200 years ago, then where's it gone?
Whoever probably swooped in and took that one. They have a habit of doing that. Someone invents a water engine, it just disappears.
Yeah.
They probably offer them a couple $1 million, and they're like, "Here you go. We want your invention."
Exactly. So, I had something. You know about our eyes. Apparently, the way that we see, the way that we kind of not reflect, the way that we view things is actually upside down, but our eyes change it the correct way up. So we're actually living. I mean, well, you can argue what's up and what's down, I suppose, but I thought that's a weird concept to think that everything's upside down and our eyes just put it the right way up. Because I think, well, it wouldn't matter whether we're things are upside down or not, because we'd still be seeing them in the same kind of condition. And I don't know, because you think, well, if we do change everything around so that down is up and up is down, then we're upside down all of the time. But then how does that work if we're living on a round ball?
So what you're saying is we're really upside down.
But yeah, that wouldn't work if we were standing on a ball, though.
Yes. Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Does that have to do with flat Earth?
Well, it's just, I mean, I'm not saying it. Yeah, not really. I didn't think of it in that context, but I wondered how it would work. Because you can't, unless we're inside the ball. Then it would work. But I don't know. Anyway, I just said it.
I mean, it has to kind of be the case if the world's spinning in a circle, if it is spinning in a circle. But either way, like if you're upside down, you're upside down. But yeah, a lot of things don't really make any sense anymore. The moon is possibly like not really there. It's really like a weird spaceship, supposedly. The sun is like a weird spaceship. Like, how do you make the sun into a spaceship? Like, it's giving off all that heat. Like, how do you handle that one?
Or is it giving off heat, or is it just giving off a frequency or vibration that creates heat in the air around it?
I don't know.
That's the thing.
It just seems crazy. Like, there can't be all these spaceships everywhere. One thing I'm being reminded of is, why does no one ever talk about the Black Knight satellite?
Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, yeah. Is that what's going on with that? Is that?
There's nothing going on with it, but they won't go look at it. They won't go look at this Black Knight satellite. They won't go actually look at it to see what it is. And I think they're afraid to, I'm hearing. Like maybe it's like a bomb or something they put in the atmosphere. But yeah, it's like, why not? I think they can get to it. I mean, I'd be like, there's a huge rock out here that's not a rock, so let's go look at it. Let's go see what's inside of it. Yeah, are we gonna unleash some aliens on the world, like in maybe Alien vs. Predator? Sure. But whatever. This is what humans do. We just find weird shit. We don't care. So I think that's the key. It's like when they were in Antarctica. This was like a year ago. They drilled in the ice, and of course, there's a treaty. No one can go to Antarctica for some strange reason. And anyways, they drilled in the ice, like meters and meters down. They found a whole ecosystem of like wildlife, like underneath the ice, like fish and everything. This got reported. And I was like, what else is up there? What's going on in Antarctica? I want to check it out.
Yeah, there's some sort of treaty that means that you can't go there and with that unless you have permission, which is fairly dubious. It's very suspicious, so shall we say. Kathy says, what's the Black Knight satellite? Never heard of it.
So you look up Black Knight. Knight is in KN, like a medieval knight. But the Black Knight satellite hovers around the Earth. I think it's out of our atmosphere, obviously, but maybe it's still in it. I'm not really sure on that. But it's been there for like millions of years, and it's just hovering around. They theorize that it's like almost like a rock spaceship. Maybe it's gotten petrified over time. But in space, I don't know how that works. But yeah, it's like it just floats there. No one's really. There's pictures of it all over the place. I've heard entire 2-hour episodes on it on Coast to Coast AM. The people that run Gaia, I think. And they never go to it. No one talks about it. Like I'd have the world's strongest telescope, like studying it. It's not that far away.
No, I mean, can you see it with a telescope? I mean, if it's in orbit or whatever, low Earth orbit, then surely we just anybody could.
I mean, there's loads of pictures. I just don't know how far out it is, but I don't think it's that far out. I think it's like it wouldn't be that hard to get to. It'd be like going to the moon. What I find interesting is we went to the moon supposedly, but why haven't we ever gotten back? Like what did they figure out in the 1950s that we can't figure out now?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm like, with all of our technology, we can't get back there. Like the rocket's always going to blow up, and then the whole Van Nuys asteroid belt, I believe that's what it's called.
The Van Allen.
Past it. So how does anyone get past it to get to the moon?
Yeah. How did they get past it before?
Yeah, like how'd you get past it? I want to know how you got past it. I saw Buzz Aldrin. When he got older, he got a little crazy.
Yeah.
be like, we never. Some girls talking to him. It's like we never went to the moon.
Mm.
That's all.
Yeah,
fake.
You've seen that guy? I think it's what's his name? Bart Sibrel, I think his name is. He goes around. This is a while ago. I think it was in the 90s or maybe in the 80s. But he went around with a Bible and to all of the astronauts all of the Apollo astronauts who supposedly have landed on the moon, and he asked them to swear on the Bible that they went to the moon, and I think one of them did, and the rest of them, the other dozen or however many there were, told him to do one and threatened him with physical violence and stuff like that.
It sounds like they got something to hide.
So, I mean, read into that what you will. Just because someone says do something doesn't mean you have to do it. But if you were that sure of yourself, you think, oh yeah, or because most of them are. I mean, I don't know. They may not have been Christian. I don't know, but
I'm sure they were. Given that time frame, but supposedly Stanley Kubrick did that. And then what I find very interesting, I know we're jumping around, but what I find very interesting about Stanley Kubrick is that he made that one movie, Eyes Wide Shut, which they cut out about an hour of.
Oh yeah.
And then he just mysteriously passes away.
Mm.
Which seems to happen a lot, I think.
Mm. Well, there's that guy who went down. Shelley says, I love watching SG1. Is that Stargate one?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of truth shown there. Is that Stargate? That's not the Star Trek thing, is it? Or is that different?
Stargate.
Stargate. Is that different to Star Trek?
Yeah.
So no, I wasn't sure if it was
Portals. I used to watch that when I was like 21.
Oh really?
Yeah, the Stargate ones. They would come on late at night on like American TV. We didn't have all this cable and computers and stuff, so like I had to go with 3 channels.
Yeah, I remember having to be on time to watch a show that I wanted. You have to actually be, or we'll set the video up to record.
That was only like a couple years ago. I remember watching, waiting up to see Supernatural. I'm like, Supernatural's coming on at 8:00. I gotta watch this for years, so I'd be there at 8:00. And I have to find the TV. My old landlord, I'd be like, "Can I use your TV, man? Because I don't got no TV." And he's like, "Yeah, so I gotta watch this TV show." Anyway.
Hey, Genova, it's a nice name. Excuse me. Haven't heard that one before. What was I going to say? So, what were we talking about? Stargate. What kind of stuff did they have in Stargate? Because I've never watched it.
I think they just went planet to planet through these Stargates or different realities.
Oh, right.
Kind of like Star Trek, but with the Stargate.
Okay.
They would go all over the place. It was almost. I don't know if you remember Sliders. Did you ever hear of that one?
I think I know what it is.
That's one of my favorite shows. So Sliders was like that group of people, and they were going reality to reality, trying to get back to their base reality.
Oh, right.
Sliding through time.
Yeah. I used to watch. Was it Quantum Leap? Is it Quantum Leap?
Oh yeah.
Watched that a few times. Okay, Jan.
I used to watch all of Quantum Leap when I was a kid.
I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Why? But I was always into Star Trek.
I like the Star Treks too, especially the Next Generation.
Yeah,
I've seen all the movies.
Even
all those. Well, not everyone, but I'd say about 95% of them. And so very interesting. I think that they have to release information to us by intergalactic treaty, and they can hide it wherever they want. So there's a lot of truth to what they're talking about. It's something I said to my former teacher, Rossi, one time. We're sitting in a class, and I go, I have this theory, Rossi, that every single book and movie is channeled from another reality, or it's from another reality. She just looked at me like, she goes, she's like, look, I see in her eyes, how in the F did you figure that out? And I was like, I don't know. I just know. and talk about one of my strongest like psychic clairs is claircognizance. So like I know things. I don't know how I know them, but I just know. And I was like, she just like looked at me like, well, how do you know that? So I was like thinking, so you're telling me Stephen King, there's some reality, not at the time, but now, of some clown walking around through the sewers, grabbing people. Like that sounds a little scary.
Yeah,
If
right.
people think their lives are bad, at least they're not living there.
Yeah.
Stephen King land.
Yeah, you have to wonder where all of these ideas for movies and books and everything comes from, don't you?
Yeah, I think everything's channeled.
Because if thought creates everything, then if you can think of a scenario or reality, then it must exist somewhere to have that thought, or the thought actually creates it somewhere. So, I mean, if you start thinking about that, then you could go mad. But it's just because everything exists.
Breakers off and see what you can. I don't know, Jimmy. Throughout my life, I've manifested things that I had no comprehension like that I could do. Like my last relationship, I manifested her. Literally sitting in my car like 3 a.m. and I was like, I want her to look like this. I want her to be spiritual and not crazy. No disrespect to her if she hears this. But the point is that afterwards, she appeared in a week. And exactly what I asked for. Well, pretty much. And after that was over, I said the crazy part. And they go, you didn't define what crazy meant. But then let's say I get a ticket. So I get a ticket for my job. I'm speeding in a work zone, which is a big deal on a highway. But usually they leave pest control people alone when I was doing pest control full time. And I'll lose enough points where I won't be able to drive at my job. So I'm thinking, and I'm like, okay, I need some help with this. Not even understanding the whole psychic thing at the time. And I was like, I just need some help with this, God. And all of a sudden, I was like, wait a minute. I had a client over there in Termite. He's one of the best traffic lawyers in this city. So I called him, and I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, but I had him on my phone. He was like, yeah, I can help you. We'll get you out of this. We're talking like a lot of stuff here. Speeding in a work zone, all that's bad. And literally went to court, talked to them. He's like 420, like 450. You good? No points.
Oh, right.
And so like I would do this with all kinds of things. Remember an ex of mine when I was 30, she would be like, why? She goes, I don't understand. Like you do shit at work, like you truck like goes out, blows up, and you don't even get in trouble. Like and then you do this, you don't get in trouble. Like I don't understand how this works. And I was like, she was mad about it. I was like, I'm just good at what I do. So I didn't really understand it. I just know how to do it. So if I asked for something, it would start happening. Really asked for it with enough energy. But I would do that I still do that all the time.
Do you think that's the case with everyone, or do you think that people could ask till they're blue in the face with as much intention and heart and energy as they can muster, but still nothing happens?
I think if you convince yourself of anything, you can make it reality. Therein lies the key. So if you were to look at subconscious manifestation, whether it's you want a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they're bringing up something I say all the time. Tony Robbins, when he wanted a wife, he wrote down 5 pages of what he wanted. And he was on the train. Of course, he's Tony Robbins back then, 30 years ago. He's dating quite a few women. And he's sitting across from this girl he's dating. He goes, I think she matches. He wrote down 5 pages of what he wanted. Like she had to match all 5 pages. So he pulls it out and he's like, she matches all 5 pages. They've been married 30 years. They have multiple children. And then he wrote down how many kids he wanted. Then he wrote down like everything he writes down, like he basically most of it he gets. So yeah, he just started writing it down. It's usually just just putting it to the universe and seeing what happens.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah, it's called spelling. So people are so afraid of witchcraft, but in reality, that's how I was taught my shamanism. That as you spell, you're spelling.
Let's have a look. Let's had some few comments. One from Kathy. Stargate definitely had some interesting concepts, like the pyramids being landing pads for alien ships, things being used as energy tools and weapons, aliens living inside a human host. Lots of things to make you go,
Yeah.
Indeed.
And that does happen. That does happen. So came across that with a client. I took him to a pyramid and he was going through that. He's like, they're telling me that this is a spaceship. And I was like, I don't think we need to be here. We need to move away. I don't want to mess with this. I don't want to mess with these pyramid spaceships.
Lisa says, anytime I'd consciously manifest a partner, it would seem to work, but then the universe would show me that it knows better than me.
But maybe, Shelley, maybe.
Lisa.
Maybe you didn't put enough in there. I think you got to be so specific that it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Because Lisa says the best ones always came when I wasn't trying to when I wasn't trying or consciously wanting it. Sometimes that works for some people. Like Michelle says, there's not one size. What if there's not one size fits all?
No, it's whatever works for you.
You need to find out what works, and things change as well. Well, Jan says, do you look into life path numbers and their meanings?
Yeah. I realized I was an 8, at least partially. I don't know quite how that works, but yeah. So I do. I don't really understand it totally. It's like astrology. I don't really understand astrology that well, or dream interpretation that well. But I know when I was a druid, I understood astrology pretty well. It was a different kind of astrology.
Hey,
maybe.
Sorry, brother.
No.
Len's nice. Do you want to tell us? Are you allowed to tell us? Len's just popped on. Are you allowed to tell us about the event that you did at his place?
Yeah. It was about 2 weeks ago. I did a healing event, and there were about 6 people showed up. We had a lady from TikTok drive down from Kansas. Like actually drove from Kansas to Georgia, which is a very far time frame. And I wish he had hung around, but whatever reason, everything happens for a reason. Yeah, I did the event there, and a lot of people were crying. I do a lot of work on a lot of people. And then, it was quite intriguing. And I think now there's a bigger environment for in-person events. I think it's just getting the right marketing out there. That's what I saw yesterday when I was looking at it. I was like, you gotta almost go to the streets, like little 5 Points, little hipster area of Atlanta. It's a big hipster area. Like you get these college kids to come in. But I think there's a big opening for this because people are yearning for human contact. Like they're yearning for it, but they're so afraid of it at the same time, American.
I know that the spiritual fairs that I've done in the last couple of years, they're always well attended, and people do after going for a year or whatever without as much interaction, physical contact. Well, not necessarily physical contact, but just closeness. And because obviously the way that our auras or our energy fields supposedly merge, and within 6 feet, all of that kind of stuff that is apparently happening. I guess people are starved, I suppose, for just company in a sense. So seeing the same people every day, you kind of, it's all right for some. But it's nice to have a bit of variety, shall we say.
Well, I did a psychic fair about, God, I don't know, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. And my friend just called me up randomly. It's like, you want to do the psychic fair, Light and Collective? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Let's see what happens. And didn't prep for it, anything really. And I went there and I sat there for like an hour and a half, didn't do anything. I think it was from like 10 till 6 or something. And as soon as I did one healing with someone, it was like this energy went through the whole room. And they just started overrunning me.
Yeah.
Like I was like, after 5 hours straight, like 20 minutes back to back to back to back to back to back to back, I was like, you guys have to let me go to the bathroom. I need to smoke. I need to eat. Like I need to ground myself. I was moving so fast. But yeah, I did it. But there was quite a reception. A lot of people there walked out because they weren't getting anybody. But I was like, look at this. Like I did one healing and people just start running. Even my branding person, the person who does my branding, she was someone I saw, which was crazy because now she reached out. She found me on TikTok like years later.
I noticed that. It might take it starts slow for the first hour or so, but as soon as the one person steps up, then generally it will kind of open the floodgates in a sense. That's really.
Yeah, I was like, where are all these people coming from? They were just like, they kept coming in the door. But I think they did a lot of hearing they did a lot of promotion. But yeah, it's like college kids. You got to promote to college kids. You got to promote to like promote all over the place, especially people that are open to that stuff. Hearing clubs, stuff like that. You get a lot of people in there if you promoted it just a bit outside of the box.
Yeah, totally. Let's look. Fairs Lisa says fairs were great for me to connect and network, and doing 20+ readings in a day. That's a lot of readings. Christ.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot.
Yeah. When I was done with that psychic fair, I went to Ryan's Steakhouse, which is in America, and I ate like 5 pounds of meat. I was so starving, like it was so much energy I used.
A bit. What's Fufi says we had a spiritual fair where I was doing neurogenic drawing. Do you know what that is?
No.
Fufi, what's that, please? Len says Thomas had 2 walk-ins that decided to stay and had a transformative experience.
Yeah.
Jan, I just attended a holistic fair at Holiday Inn East. Last year I see a twin look like on Facebook from I'm hoping to oh cool. July is Jan's birthday. Yeah. Email promo is where it's at. Lisa says.
I say go straight to the people. Yeah, email is going to work, but I think the key to getting to people is like you got to go everywhere. Like when they congregate and just pass out or talk to them. It's reminding me of a little guy. He's a guy in Little 5 Points. So Little 5 Points is hipster area. And I've been going there since I've been a kid. I used to buy all my punk rock stuff because it was the only place I could find these records and T-shirts before like these big record chains came up with stocking and stuff. But in Little 5 Points, there's a psychic, and he just sits there on the weekends across from the crystal store. And he charges like $15 every 10 minutes. I actually got the message I'd probably go talk to him again. I haven't talked to him in 3 years. But when he sat me down, the dude was like, blew me away. And I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't like how he was connected. Like something about him irritated me. And but my guides kept telling me to talk to him. And he was like, why do you think you were messed with so much as a kid? I was like, my name's Tom Sawyer. He goes, nope. He's like, your energy's so strong, it can trigger people sometimes. Then he's like, you have the ability to go into the darkest area to find a piece of light. I think he said I was going to stitch the light and the dark back together. He's like, I see you jumping back and forth, putting it back together. And then this guy don't even know me. And I'm not giving him enough information other than I'm a psychic. And he's just staring at me. No cards. He's staring at me.
Yeah.
And then he was like, we need you. And when he said that, it was like the whole human collective was speaking through him. And I was like, man, here we go again. I've heard this one before. So I've heard that from teachers and mentors and shit over and over again. But I was like, I don't. But I should go talk to him again. He's always there, according to other people that have like gone through there. He's always there.
Yeah, why not? See if he's got an update.
Yeah, 3 years later.
Fufi says it's a the neurogenic drawing. It's a drawing technique guided by self or a guide to deal with chosen psychology issues or traumas. No, don't think I've done that.
There's so many ways to heal, whether it's the emotion code, the body code, all different things. Just so many subconscious energy. The list just goes on and on. Whatever resonates for you.
What's your preferred way?
Energy.
Alone time.
Alone time.
When you used to go off into the woods and stuff.
Oh, I like that. That's just for me though.
All right.
Which I could do that actually right now.
Yeah, sorry. I meant self-healing preferred way. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, self-healing. Yeah. Go in the woods. Take a little shrubbery with me, and hang out in the woods by the fire for like 3 days. Turn my phones off. Shut down booking, and sit there. If I want to talk to someone, I'll give them a call. But I just kind of sit there and stare at things and walk through the woods. Yeah.
Do you build your own kind of hut or tent, or do you take?
I take a tent with me. The tent and it's pretty small, and the sleeping bags can be kind of big. But if I got a camping camping backpack, it wouldn't be that hard to go through the woods. But yeah, there's areas I would camp in that would be they're very well traveled on the trails, but there's thousands of places to camp off the trail. And people would do that. I don't know if they do that over at Panther Creek anymore in Georgia. It's like an hour outside of Atlanta. But I think because the bridges got destroyed, but people still walk that thing all the time. I would think by COVID now that they fixed it, I would hope so. But I'm not driving down there to see, because it's going to take me an hour to get down there. But I would camp there because it's right next to the river. And there's so many people down there. I mean, I was kind of freaked me out. One of the last times I went was with Jose, and it was late at night, and we went to sleep, and I slept in a hammock, and he slept in his tent with his dog. And like I'm freezing. I got so many, because we're next to the river, even though it was probably like 60 degrees outside, like the river made it like 40. So I'm wrapped up in all these different layers, and I keep hearing like something in the background behind the thing I'm hanging on, the hammock. Like I feel something around me. And I'm like, this is crazy. My guys are like, go get your wand, which I don't know where my wand is now, but they're like, go get your wand. So I'm holding this wand, like scared, in this little hammock between two trees, like bundled up. And then the next day when I woke up at like 6 or 7 in the morning, I talked to Jose, and he goes, yeah, there was something out there. He's like, the dog looked all freaked out. And you don't know, there's people that probably live in those woods.
Yeah, possible.
That's what I was afraid of more than any kind of like weird thing, was that there was some fucking person that was gonna like come in the middle of the night and try to stab me. But someone was watching me. That's what I just knew it. Someone was watching me. There weren't a lot of us there. It was during the week, so the weekend there'd be a lot of people. But it's a 7-mile stretch, so you can you can camp beyond that past this waterfall. So you got to think how many possible campsites. There's so many. They're just all, you can walk off as far as you want to camp. But yeah, that one freaked me out.
I bet it did. So you're not, so say if it was a Sasquatch or something like that, that's not as scary as, say, a human, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they're out there. I just don't know. I've never encountered one. I'm hearing I have. Anyways, but I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. So like, yeah, the humans, I'm not afraid of any kind of like angel or negative entity. I mean, I know they're totally, that well, angels can be negative too, but any positive, I'm not really afraid of any of that. I'm afraid of people. So people scare me more than other things.
Do you think people are harder to read than entities, spirits, etc.?
Yeah, because if it's a lower vibrational entity, it's going to act a certain way. I mean, it's just its basic thing. So it's like geared towards chaos. But a person, you never know what a person's going to do. Like, you just don't know. It's all, it can be trauma based. There could be perspectives you don't understand. You could have had this happen to them, and then they're trying to figure out what that means. And then they get in a run relationship, and whatever happens, and the guy just turns out to be a narcissist, and put that in quotations because no one wants to take personal responsibility for their lives. And I'm not saying narcissists don't exist, everyone. I'm just saying that you take some personal responsibility. So for what the roles you played as well. And the point is that, yeah, it's like you can't always track them. So they get in one relationship, they get hurt, and then they put that on you, the next person. You don't even know what that is, especially if they don't communicate it. And then it's like, how do you deal with this?
Yes, it's hard to know because, I mean, as much as I'm sure people watching and listening do have, I mean, we all have psychic abilities, obviously. Some of them stronger than others, but we all have them. And as much as we like to think that we know what a person is either doing, going to do, is their intentions or thinking or what have you, I don't think we can ever be 100% certain or 100% sure, because we filter everything through our own subconscious or through our own mind, and we put our own slant on things and the way that we think that they're behaving, rather than actually being, say, a blank slate and letting their energy imprint its message onto us. And because we always filter things through our own perspective, in a sense. So it's hard to know exactly, because I mean, how many times have we all kind of seen a situation or a person, the way that someone's behaving with, and we think, yeah, they're doing that because of this, and then it turns out they didn't do that because of that at all. And how we think, oh yeah, this is going to happen, I know this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. I mean, there are some people who are seers who just know when things are going to happen, and they know that with 100% accuracy that it's going to happen, but maybe not necessarily when. But I mean, I think that's obviously comes down to anxiety or what have you. We worry about something's going to happen, we're sure it's going to happen, and all of a sudden everything says is going to be fine.
It's like worst case scenario thinking.
Yeah,
I've done that too. Like, I'll think this is going to happen, nothing ever happens. Over and over.
Done that loads of times. But then how do we know that what we attribute to our psychic ability is not just a different version of that? You know, it's kind of, how do we differentiate?
That is a question. They think psychics have all the answers. Sometimes we don't. We have some of them, but yeah, I can't tell you the amount of spiritual people I've seen that were like the They're spiritually on point, but the human isn't always on point.
That's true. That's good. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like looking at me, like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I just got this beautiful BS detector. It's so good. I can just see BS a mile away. So like I'm like looking at certain things. I'm like, interesting. So yeah. Etc. I'll be talking to somebody sometimes. One of my friends or something. I get like the BS detector will go off. I just continue with the conversation. Don't say anything. I'm like, okay.
You wait and see.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes if you're actually quiet long enough, people will tell you everything they want to tell you.
That's true.
I was like interested in this female, and like I don't want to say too much because people that watch will know what I'm talking about. So I went in and saw her on some video or whatever, and I could read her. I was like, oh, like I actually paid her for reading, and I was like, oh, that's what's like interesting. You can see all this stuff, and I was like, okay, I got it.
Yeah. Sort of keep quiet and wait and see.
Yeah, I was like, be quiet.
Everything will be revealed, I suppose.
Like I'm looking for like the worst shit. Like show me what I really need to see. And like show me the negative. Or whatever what is this person doing? I'm like, why is this happening? What is that energy? Yeah, I intentionally had her connect with me because that's how she does it. I guess she sends out energy and then disconnects it. I don't know how she does it, but she does it a bit differently, I think, than me. But I don't. But anyways, how her process is. But as soon as she connected, I was like, oh, let me take a look at this energy. Let me see what's going on here. So, yeah, interesting. People are just scarier than spiritual stuff.
I find that, if I'm honest.
Yeah. You don't know what they want. You don't know what it is. They put on a mask and they remove the mask, and you get to see who they are vulnerably, and that's scary sometimes. But it's like you got to work with them. They're so afraid to show themselves. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Jan's been sharing a story of her being harassed in a park, and she says, I talk a lot or not at all. I need to find a balance and learn to be less open to sharing personal things in the most public of forums. And I mean, do you need to find a balance, Jan? Are you happy with the way things are, or what you do? Because if you are, then you don't need to change anything, only if you're not, and kind of go by your own sort of gyroscope, shall we say, rather than what you think should be, what you should do, rather than what you want to do. So yeah, and maybe she says, why do they try to scare me away from nature? I don't think by the sounds of it, they don't see that as nature. They just see it as maybe a territory thing. But that's just kind of my thoughts on that. But what else have we got? Yeah, hey Jenny. Jenny says human behavior a little more unpredictable. It certainly is. But I guess that's what makes things interesting in a sense. And not saying that the people who you were talking about are evil or anything like that. But that reminds me of because it depends what you consider evil, I suppose. Evil is anything that goes against our morals, I suppose you could describe it like that. But I've heard a quote that says evil contains within it the seed of its own destruction. So And I thought, well, it's kind of like, when you said it will be, people will usually reveal themselves eventually, don't they?
Yeah.
And so if someone's not necessarily, if someone's being genuine or trying to manipulate or cause harm, then but trying to hide it, then usually the feeling is so overwhelmingly, it builds up and builds up that they eventually show their hand, and without you having to
Without
necessarily.
having to say a word.
Yeah, exactly.
You just hang back and you watch.
Hmm.
And they'll tell you everything you want to know. And I see it, I'm like, gotcha. Now I know.
Well, like the Jordan Peterson interview moment.
Yeah, I'm like, gotcha.
Hmm.
So this, oh, my leg just cramped. This going on with it. But people do that too. Like they naturally want to tell you what they're really doing.
Hmm.
And yeah, especially when I started studying the dark triad of psychology.
Hmm.
Everyone says everyone's a narcissist and whatever, but there is a psychopath and the Machiavellian. And that's some hardcore stuff people don't talk about.
Hmm. Did you study that?
Yeah, I studied it after a former relationship because I knew that's what was happening to me. So I didn't know what was going on, but I got that message, study dark psychology. So I
Hmm.
studied it and I was like, interesting. Then I messaged that ex at a certain point and I said, you're using dark psychology on me. And she's like, oh, you studied the dark triad and all of a sudden you know everything about psychology. And I was like, how did you know what the dark triad is? Like, you have to know about dark psychology. No one knows that. Unless they've studied psychology.
Hmm.
So I'm like, what?
Do you think psychology? Do you think it's worth studying psychology?
Yeah, because you figure out how people tick
Hmm.
and you figure out how to talk to them. You can figure out, like, if you'll be a douchebag, you can manipulate them.
Hmm. I was going to say that's one way you could use that. If you know how to talk to people, you can use it for manipulation. But then again, also obviously, if you know how to talk to someone, you can use it for good too.
Yeah, but even like billionaires, they all know psychology. I mean,
Hmm.
they've all studied this stuff upside
Hmm.
down and everything else. Like the 48 Laws of Power. I was listening to Robert Greene talk about. It was so funny in the comments because people didn't know who he was. He's
Hmm.
talking to a very beautiful woman, and he's just talking about the art of seduction, which I just found interesting that he was talking about. And he was like, he's not a very attractive guy, but he's like, it doesn't matter if you're attractive.
Hmm.
He's like, this is what you do if you want to seduce somebody. He's
Hmm.
like, let me give you an example. He did it with her.
Hmm.
And you could see it in her eyes. And she's like this 20-year-old beautiful woman. He's like 55, 60. Like he almost got her. But the thing is, he's not trying to like sway her. He's trying to explain it.
Hmm.
And he's so good at understanding the psychology. He wrote the 48 Laws of Power, which they banned in prisons because prisoners were using it to escape. And then 33 Strategies of War. They've been in the New York Times bestseller list for like 20 years.
Hmm.
But it's some of it's really dark, some of it isn't. So.
It reminds me. I saw a sign. Someone wrote on a sign and held it up, and someone took a picture of it and posted it on thing. It says, "How come every book is a New York Times bestseller?"
Yeah.
It's like every book you see advertised, there's always got a New York Times bestseller on it.
Yeah. I think those are the ones that make it.
Oh.
But in our now with us, you don't have to get on that list anymore. You can go through TikTok Shop and sell them pretty quick.
Yeah. Mm.
If Lynn's watching, he might want to look into that. I'm hearing. I've seen a guy. He literally sells his books on TikTok Shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. That's
If
good
you
idea.
go on TikTok, they're gonna like move your product. Like you get so many viewers on TikTok Shop.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
I saw a guy that was making like, I think he made 15,000 in a month off TikTok, like a day,
All right.
just selling some. He's like faceless videos.
Mm.
And he like went after the Taylor Swift people in one video because he
Oh.
knew it would like trigger them and they would comment.
Mm.
More
Mm.
comments, more views.
Mm.
And he's like, I make these faceless videos. I'm taking home like 200K a month just off TikTok shop.
Mm. Yeah, I bet. Jenny says, I always say car salesman. Yeah, I know what you mean. Or any kind of salesman, I suppose. But this is interesting, actually, from Jan.
Oh Jesus, I don't even know what to do with that.
Yeah, I know. Interesting.
I don't even want to tap into that, dude. So the word Leviathan, and that was about it. That's all I needed to see.
Leviathan, isn't that a creature in the deep or something like that?
Well, no. Well, I look at it like it's in the Bible,
Hmm.
obviously, but in Supernatural, the TV show, they go against the Leviathans. They're locked up in like there's a place where like all angels and monsters go, like purgatory or something. And
Hmm.
so the Leviathans were like sent there, and eventually they escaped back into the world, and they were
Hmm.
super powerful. They would like eat people's heads off, and Sam and Dean Winchester, the two people in Supernatural, had to kill them like the whole episode. But it looked like the whole season. But it looked like there's no way they could beat these guys.
Hmm.
Like they'd overthrown like governments and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, the Leviathan thing, I don't like that.
I have heard of it, but I didn't know exactly what it was. I knew they were quite big, and not very nice.
Yeah,
Shall we say?
there's a lot of creatures out there.
Hmm. I wondered if it was something like the Kraken, or, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be people too. I mean,
Not someone like Gilgamesh.
yeah.
Is it Gilgamesh?
I forgot what Gilgamesh was.
I saw a documentary, or a short 15-minute thing on him a while ago, where they supposedly showed his I don't know whether it wasn't mummified, but it was preserved. His corpse, shall we say, and they talked about it, and I found it really interesting. That's apparently, I'm not sure if it was him or if it was another thing where he still had sort of telepathic abilities, and he could communicate or something like that. I'm not sure if it was him or if it was something else, but even though he'd passed away, there was still that presence there, and if you got close to it, you could feel it,
Well, old boss of mine, he went to go see the Shroud of Turin, another country. And he's Christian, but he doesn't really believe in the metaphysical ways of that. So, but he's like, I don't know what it was. He's like, number one, when I was going there, I saw this man and he disappeared. Like it made no sense. He disappeared in thin air. But he's like, then when I got to the Shroud of Turin, like he's like, I almost wanted to just break down crying in front of it. It's like the energy that was coming off this thing. And I listened to hours and hours on the Shroud of Turin. Supposedly what Jesus, whatever, but like bled into when he was crucified. But there's something to it, because I remember the original researchers of the Shroud tried to disprove it, and one of the main investigators like later came 20 years later, and he's like, this thing's real. And he became like a Christian because of it. But I don't know, I mean, it makes sense. The Christ soul's been around for a while.
Don't know much
different incarnations.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Shroud of Turin. But
there's a lot of holy relics floating around. Like they think the Ark of the Covenant is in another country and it's guarded. It seems like anyone who gets near it gets radiation poisoning and dies if they open it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's India. And they won't let anyone near it. Like they'll kill you if you get near it. It's in like a house in like a building, but they have like guards all the time.
Oh, okay.
And then Hitler was trying to go after that. So, like, I don't know. I think that's when the alien stuff really started to come into effect, because I think Hitler was talking to them. So, I mean, he had metaphysical stuff. He had the bell. That was something he used. There was a lot of weird stuff. Spacecraft, supposedly.
Hmm.
And of course, he had the rocket scientists, which says a lot for the spacecraft because we took all the rocket scientists from Germany.
Hmm.
We gave them immunity, which I found hilarious. I'm like, we just fought this war, and now you're going to kill, you're like, they're going to take all the people and pay them
Hmm.
that did all this work for them. Like, that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Sounds like someone else is in charge over there. Um, of
Yeah.
the war. Anyways, but yeah, so we took a lot of their people. I don't know if Oppenheimer was German. I don't think he was, but
I'm not sure about Oppenheimer, to be honest.
even with him, it was very interesting. Yeah, he wasn't German because they tried to make him a communist.
Hmm.
They tried to
Oh.
vilify him after the atom bomb.
Hmm. No, von Braun, Werner von Braun.
Yeah, he was one of the German scientists. That guy did some crazy shit. That guy, like, he did some satanic stuff, from what I remember.
Hmm.
Like some weird. I think it's him.
Hmm.
There's a lot on that guy. There's a lot. They're doing some very sketchy stuff.
Because he's got apparently he's got a Bible verse on, or at least a reference anyway, on his tombstone, and the verse that it relates to, I can't remember what exactly it is, but it relates to the verse says something about the firmament or something like that.
Yeah,
But
supposedly no one can pass.
yeah, you think, well, first of all, did he actually want that on there, or did someone just make that up? Or there's questions obviously, but
Yeah, it's like the Georgia. Have you heard of the Georgia Guidestones?
they've been destroyed, haven't they?
Yeah, like they were totally destroyed, which makes no sense. Like someone just came in and destroyed them, and I'm thinking this thing is such a historic landmark. Why don't you have like guards around it?
Yeah.
Like someone
Yeah.
just came and destroyed it. Like that doesn't even make sense.
No, I know. Nothing makes sense anymore.
No, I don't know. A lot of people think that the world is being destroyed. I just don't feel like it is.
Mm.
I just feel like everyone wanted whatever the Great Awakening is in quotations. But
Mm.
I used to say that back when you were probably watching me. I was like 39. I was like, well, you guys wanted the light. You're gonna get the dark too. Like the Great Awakening is not going to be all people running around with flowers in their hair.
Mm.
They're gonna have to deal with some shit they don't want to deal with.
Yeah, it's gonna get fairly messy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look at Jesus. I'm hearing.
Hey, Ada.
Who would want to take on that role? Like, oh God, I got to do this again.
Oh, yeah. Foofy said that Werner von Braun initially said that moon landing was impossible.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah,
I don't think we'd have ever been to the moon.
I'm not a moon landing believer.
What I'm saying is we'd have to portal from one place to the next. They have to like open a portal. And I'm sure they have. Do they have the technology? Almost. I'm hearing almost to do that.
Yeah. That's if it's even a ball of solid rock, but which I doubt. But then again, who knows?
That's the thing. Like I'm all about Hollow Earth. I mean, I don't know. I believe there is an ice wall. I think there's countries in there. I can only go by my own speculation of going to Antarctica energetically, and getting hit by some massive like government psychic, like with an energy bolt. Then my friend taking it out. It barely got through my defenses, like barely touched me. It was like denting in my armor, but like a little bit. He removed it. And I was like, I ain't going back to Antarctica. Like I think I just need to leave that place alone. But I don't think I don't think I put a destination to go. I think I was just like, I'm going to go to Antarctica. Like, I don't know where I peered. Like, I should have, like, looked at it, is what I'm hearing. Like, maybe I should have went up to, like, a spaceship. I know how crazy this will sound to people listening. But maybe I should have went up to, like, Ashtar Command and been like, okay, what's up with Antarctica? And where can I go to, like, be sneaky? And they won't catch me. And yeah, so.
Well, there's that. Hey, Jeremy. There's that. I don't know. Have you read the Emerald tablets?
I've read some of it, yeah.
I read them maybe 3 years ago, so I can't. My recollection is not A1, but I remember here Thoth or Hermes wrote about traveling, astral traveling in meditation, etc. And he talked about how he was traveling through, say, the universe, from what I can remember, and he would go to certain places, and he would know. He would hear, I think he said he would hear dogs barking or something like that. But he knew that he was somewhere where not necessarily shouldn't be, but there was danger involved there. And so even though he was there kind of in spirit or metaphysically or whatever, there was still something there to be wary of. It's not as though he could go around and go wherever he wanted. There was still, it set alarm bells ringing. So I think he said he came back, but I kind of found that quite interesting about how even though we go somewhere energetically, that still doesn't completely mean that we're totally protected or safe or whatever.
Yeah, it's actually
if we were there physically.
There's a couple places I don't go. I don't know what they are because I've asked. I'm like, do I have universal access? They're like pretty much everywhere except a few places. Now they're not going to tell me what that is, Mary. But those places. But sometimes you need to bring like a being with you, Michael, or whoever resonates with you, because they can like help. Sometimes these places, I don't know. My friend says this. She's a lot more like mathematical. But she said there's certain places that have their own consciousnesses there, and you don't know what their consciousnesses want. Like it could be like a consciousness, like I'm getting like Ego the Planet, and I'm hearing it's rare, but like Ego the Planet and the Guardians of the Galaxy too. It's like a planet, but it has a consciousness. So I think these realms have a consciousness.
Yeah, I see. Jenny says, I secretly got through with a guy telling me to stay silent with their finger up to her lips, and we hid there. Hide and seek in Antarctica. Nice. Jan says, I love listening and talking about spiritual magical stuff. I hope to learn more from you all. And she says, she was talking about Emerald tablets. Someone was claiming that their name was in it. Really?
Well, they probably claim they're Archangel Michael.
Yeah, those tablets are interesting. I've still got the book with them in and the translation from whatever it was to English.
I think I have it on Audible. I'm pretty sure. I gotta catch up on those books. I've still got like 10 books to read.
Have you?
Yeah. I am an Audible master. I just called Audible because this is back when I was working in pest control. I didn't have any. I listened to podcasts. Joe Rogan before he was like big Joe Rogan, because I knew him from the UFC and News Radio and Fear Factor. And I was like, let me flip this guy up. But I would listen to books too. And I got to the point where I had to listen like 1,000 hours to become a master. And I called them up and I was like, I don't have anything else to like go for. Like I need more.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm an Audible master, and they're like, no, we're not making any more. I'm like, why not? Can I be like a grandmaster? Can we put this up to like 20,000 hours? So I have something to aim for. Give me more badges. They
like
give you
chess.
badges.
Yeah.
Like, but I have 100 and like, I think 60 books on Audible, 159 books. So.
I've never done the old audio thing. I've tried, but what was the one I can't remember. Audible God, Fifi says.
Yeah, I really wanted that. I really wanted it. really bad. Like, give me more. Give me more. You want to keep me interested?
Yeah. I think we're caught up.
Yeah.
So, have you got anything else you want to mention, brother?
I'm just thinking, I have an Aura class this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern on my website, sawyer.com. Um, 2 hours Zoom class. But no, other than that, there's not really much.
No. Okay. Well, something that I'll mention is I've started recently. I've heard about them a while ago, and we spoke about this before we came on. But if is anyone familiar with what's known as cell salts or tissue salts, like sodium phosphate and sodium silica and stuff like that, and they're these 12 salts that supposedly make up the human body. They're present in everyone, and each organ or each system is responsible for the production or what have you of these particular ones, and they relate to the signs of the zodiac as well, apparently, and supposedly all diseases of issues that we have are related to a deficiency in one or more of these things. So kind of on that basis, I'm starting to do some healing frequencies for each individual one, which I'm kind of looking forward to because it's something new, and it's a bit of a challenge, but because they seem to be the building blocks, shall we say, of our carbon-based body. And so it'll be interesting because I'm going to obviously I test all frequencies out on myself.
How do you get the frequency?
I basically intuit it. I have the frequencies I've mapped the frequencies of parts of the body, all the different systems and stuff like that, like the digestive system, the lymphatic system. There's all of the different systems and all of the different organs and the parts of the body. I did that a while ago. But then when it comes to substances or things that are not inside the body, that's when I use my, shall we say, intuitive knowing. And so, hey, Renee. So I basically tune in just like someone would tune in when they're doing a reading or doing mediumship or doing healing or anything. It's basically like that, and it's almost like automatic writing in a sense, where I write down whatever number I feel and then feel if it's right, and then basically work out what the frequency is basically from that, and then I test it on myself and play the frequency to see if my body has a reaction to it, and then I'll feel whether I can feel it or not, and whether I feel like it's doing the thing that it's meant to. And it's more about trust than anything. I think if we trust our own abilities, then it helps to strengthen that ability. And so I'll be doing those going forward, but that's what I'm up to at the moment. Renee, we're not doing readings today, but Thomas will be on TikTok tonight.
Yeah, maybe. We got a client at 6, but maybe like 8 p.m. Eastern.
He'll be on TikTok at some point, probably today, what have you. So yes, yeah, like Fifi says, salt is important to electrical frequencies. Exactly. Yeah, we need salt for our body to function properly. But anyway, that's all I had to say.
No, I've been taking for hydration. I have like pleated minerals. I need to buy salt today. I've been keeping the message. I need to clean all my crystals, but I need the salt too. But pleated minerals, like, let me look at it. I feel like I need to bring it up. So I've been taking these for a long time. especially when I worked pest control because I was sweating like a gallon of water a day when it was really hot.
Yeah.
But it has calcium, iodine, magnesium, zinc, selenium, copper, manganese, chromium, molybdenum, potassium, boron, palladium.
Oh, nice.
But your body like needs all these minerals.
The whole works.
And it's super cheap. I mean, it's like $10 for 240 of these, and you only take like 2 at a time.
Mm.
The last few months. But like
Yeah.
if you're having teeth issues or stuff like that, because I had a tooth that kind of like cracked a little bit,
Mm.
like when I was 39, and I went to 2 different people that used to be my mentors. I was like, "What's up?" They're like, "You need minerals."
Mm.
And I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, let me find this on Amazon." So I've been taking them for years.
Yeah. You're feeling better.
Yeah, like I didn't have any more issues. So like sometimes your teeth just need minerals.
Fufi would like you to show your package.
My package.
Cool. Sorry, the package.
There it is, multi-mineral. Is that what she's asking about this?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
She says, "Show the package, please."
Okay. Yeah, cleated multi. I'm not a doctor, everyone. So for anyone who's listening to this, we're not doctors. I'm just telling you what worked for me. But cleated multi-minerals, yeah.
Oh, Trinia is having some teeth issues. Yeah, sorry, Fufi.
Apparently everyone on TikTok thinks that oil pulling is going to solve all their problems.
Oh yeah, I tried that. Yeah, yeah. Have you done it?
I use Nana Guru pulling oil. It does work. I'm just saying that it works very well. But I'm like, it is not going to regrow all your teeth. Like these people, the wildest claims I've ever seen. I'm like, oh my God. I get in there, I'll like say stuff to them in their lives. They don't. And one guy's like ashwagandha, sea moss, all this stuff together. And you buy this shit on Amazon. And I'm like, bro, is it third party tested? So that's important, honestly. That is kind of important. So, and like they never answer me. I'm like, I know it's not third party tested. That means there could be anything in there. It could be amphetamines for all you know.
Yeah. Jan says coconut oil definitely helps the brain. That's apparently people have reversed Alzheimer's and dementia with using coconut oil. Basically because from what I understand and from what I've seen, coconut oil is full of cholesterol or unsaturated fats, or one of the whatever fats that is kind of is told by the mainstream medical system that is bad for you, they're actually good for you. And the coconut oil is loaded with them, and it helps regrow it. Like the brain is majority % cholesterol apparently, or something like that. And coconut oil helps with that. It kind of helps to maintain and grow and reproduce the cholesterol in the brain, which helps the connections. And that's why people supposedly have reversed dementia and Alzheimer's by using coconut oil.
So that makes sense. Healthy fats, omega-3s. I mean, even people on carnivore. Some of you have had to look at it a bit more because I'm eating too much meat, but I think my body just craves it. But yeah, I've seen people totally reverse autoimmune disorders with carnivore diet.
Yeah.
Firsthand. So I had a client in where was it? In pest control, and his daughter was like a cheerleader, but all of a sudden she couldn't even walk up the stairs after a couple months. He heard about this diet. And he's like, let's see what happens. So he put her on it. Within about 3 months, she was back to cheerleading. Couldn't even walk up the stairs, like autoimmune disease. And so, I mean, for different things, I think it's just different diets. In the spiritual community, I'm sure you've run across this, Jimmy, but there's like all these people that are like, you got to be this way, you got to be this way. And I'm like, you guys sound like a cult. You sound more like a cult to me than anything. So, yeah, it doesn't make logical sense.
It's basically the way I see it. And Omegas, like Jan said, Omegas 3, 6, and 9. One of them is supposed to be bad for you. I think it's Omega 9, is it, or something like that? But I mean, I don't know. But I think what was I going to say? It's about listening to your body. From what if you eat something and you notice a reaction to it, or you don't feel so good, or you feel sleepy or whatever, then that's probably not doing you any good. So cut it out, and well, try to anyway. I mean, I'm sure we all eat stuff that we know we shouldn't, and that doesn't make us feel very good. But I wonder if maybe the carnivore diet is more is about the fact, not necessarily the fact that people are eating meat and that's doing them good, but they're cutting out all of the shit and all of the crap that was doing them bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be that.
But I think that it probably is a bit of both, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? That's the thing. Like, no one really knows the answer to that. But like, I've seen it. Like, I brought it up, I think, on one of the other podcasts. Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter. I mean, and her TED talk was actually banned, which makes no sense. But she was like breaking. I mean, from a kid, she was having all these issues, like surgeries, replace her hip, like her ankle that would break. It was all autoimmune. And she was like, I just want meat. And then one time I was like, let me just see if this is over like 20 years. But then she just was like, well, let me see if I move this meat out and just add a little bit of something here. Nope, it comes back. And she's like, all I can eat is like, it has to be like aged meat. So that's all she eats. But she looks amazing. I mean, when you do carnivore diet, you're going to lose some weight. I knew a guy in his 20s that did it. He lost like 100 pounds.
Yeah.
80 pounds.
Yeah. I've tried it. I tried the carnivore diet. I did it for 2 or 3 months. And that was all right. But then
it depends on your blood type.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think apparently the diets, people with different blood types require different sustenance, I suppose.
Yeah.
And so, because I mean, during the spring and summer, I hardly ate any meat. It was all fruit. It was basically fruit and a few vegetables and dairy. So, and I don't think dairy's as bad as I mean, I think some people can tolerate it, but some people can't. Their body will reject just a smidgen of dairy. But then you wonder if that's because they've caused issues in this with their digestive system, so they're not able to process it like they would do normally. Someone with a healthy digestive system and can process stuff. So I don't know, to be honest with you.
There's so much misinformation. I think that's the key.
I was going to say, I don't know, and neither do the people in charge.
No one knows. But
or they do know, but they pretend that they don't.
I see the people post on Facebook, and like I'll go in there and post something that's counterintuitive to what they're saying, and like just watch them like go after me or just not say a single word to me. Because I think some of them know who I am, and they're like, I don't really think we want to mess with Thomas on this one. Like don't go back and forth with Thomas. We've seen him do this 80 times in comments. But I just put it there just because I'm like, you guys are a cult. Like vegan, all of it. I was like, you're a cult. I'm sorry, you're a cult. Prove to me. They're like, go watch this movie. I remember I was on TikTok Live, and someone asked about politics and who was going to win the next election. And I said who I thought would win. And he's like, you need to go get more educated. And I was like, that's like telling a psychic, but he needs to go get more educated about, like being psychic from a book, which would work on some levels, but not for this. So I was like, dude, like seriously. But that's how people think.
Yeah, if from what I've gathered, from what I've seen, people who say someone else needs to be educated, that means that they don't think the same, and so therefore they need to go and learn what the other person's learned, so they can agree with them.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to think for themselves. They have to be educated by an authority that thinks that they know everything, and just because one person believes them or a group believes them doesn't mean everyone should.
I think we've learned through history that things are constantly disproven and proven. So whether that's science or whatever. So what is the reality of lots of things, I think, is the key. So, yeah.
I mean, they thought that DDT was safe. They thought that,
Yeah.
they thought they used to put cocaine in the Coca-Cola
Yeah.
or something, and then they used to put other stuff.
Oh, it used to be in every medicine. I mean, there was the hair, obviously that one, the opium. And then there was the morphine and the cocaine. It was I had customers in pest control that were rich. They collect those bottles. And they would have like whole display cases of these medicines, like early 1900s. And I'm just like, dear God, man. Like, why didn't they keep the cocaine and the Coca-Cola?
Yeah, that's why everyone used to. The people used to get lots of housework done.
Yeah, it'd be like, this would be amazing. They just kept the cocaine in there. Just a little bit of it would be enough.
Well, it makes me laugh. If you ever look, I don't know about now, but if you ever look on a toothpaste, on toothpaste on the tube, it says harmful if swallowed. If swallowed, call poison control or something like that. And you think people are putting this in their mouth, in their gums, which gets absorbed into the bloodstream quicker than if you swallow it.
Yeah.
Or something, and you think, well, if it's poison, if you swallow it, then it's going to be poison if you have it on your skin or in your mouth. But
yeah, I mean, it's the world we live in, man. I don't know.
yeah, I know.
Sometimes I want to go to another country. Like, I want to go to like Thailand and live there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Jan's just going back to oils. Jan says coconut, olive, macadamia, avocado, flaxseed oil, walnut oil, organic ghee is a good one to cook with. I've found that it's organic ghee is better than butter to cook with. But she says I learned they shock the oils to keep them shelf stable, but that kills the good that we need. And the graphene oxide. I'm sure you've seen videos of graphene oxide coming out of everything.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like it's how many things you come in contact with. We're a resilient species.
Right. And what's laudanum? Fufi says laudanum. Have you heard of this?
I don't think so.
I think I've heard of it, but I couldn't tell you what it is. Goat, goat is supposed to be quite good. Goat milk and butter. But yeah, well, I think that's it. Have we got anything else?
No, we are complete.
Okey-dokey. Right. Thank you, brother. Morphine and alcohol is what laudanum is.
That sounds like a treasure thing.
Hey, LaRonda. We were just going, actually. But thank you for stopping by. Thank you, everyone, for joining in and commenting. Jan and Jenny and Fufi and Lisa Marie earlier, and everyone. Thank you so much for contributing, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care, everyone.
Follow us on Spotify. We're on Spotify, the Psychic Kitchen podcast.
All right. Well said. All right, brother. Take care, everyone. Thank you, Ada. Hey, Rosetta.